An investigator needs to go look at the files, look at the cases, knock on doors. They need to do things that traditional investigators do. As great as forensic evidence is, it still sometimes comes down to the investigator doing investigative work. And it's important for them to, bosses, supervisors, chiefs, to understand how important it is to clear a cold case.
Back in 2001, it's almost like a perfect storm. Putting this grant funding that we got from the federal government with the technology that our crime lab was now starting to evolve into, and then started looking at cold cases. So we developed, I call it a cold case sexual assault unit in 2001, where we started identifying cases, pulling evidence, mainly sexual assault kits, and then having them examined for DNA. And so that kind of got our involvement. So we started writing policies and practices, started getting CODIS hits, so we started investigating these cases quite regularly over the next several years, and that actually continued over the next 16 years.
Well, I think it shows that we care and that you're not forgotten. I know I've had victims, family members, in absolute shock after we've come to them 20, 30 years later and say, we think we're onto something here, we think we've solved your case. And then to see the amazement when we go all the way through the process to the verdict, when they actually get that verdict, it's unbelievable.
I have cold cases where the investigators actually closed them out. They felt they had reached that roadblock and they put in there, we will reopen this when there is a day and age that there's other avenues. Well, that day and age is actually right now because science has led to a lot of these avenues that we now can pursue that they never even dreamed of years ago.
There's a number of reasons departments should have cold case units. Well, first of all, the one-time offender is relatively infrequent. The recidivism rate and the repeat offenders, people don't realize how many are out there. Just in my limited jurisdiction in Boston, on the cases that we've worked in the past few years, I've identified multiple instances of, quite frankly, serial killers. These suspects, these perpetrators that have killed or attempted to kill more than one victim unrelated to the other victims. That in and of itself would be a primary reason to have it.
And I think the community really has an expectation that we in law enforcement as a jurisdiction, as an agency, are doing everything we can that we have resources and access to try to solve these cases as well.
There's precious little spare time in law enforcement, in anybody in forensic sciences. So having that dedicated unit focuses the resources on those cases.
A lot of jurisdictions, cold cases, for some reason, is not a priority for them. If they're the recipient of some of these grants that are going to make it a priority, once they start doing it, they'll see. Once they realize the scope and the depth of the issue, it doesn't matter if they got a grant, they don't have a grant, the grant expires or not, they're not going to ignore it. They can't. You just can't do it.
I personally believe that they think that is being done. I really do. I think people in our society would be surprised to know that a lot of these homicides are sitting without anybody doing anything about them. And I think we really need to bring attention to the magnitude of this.
Families have lived with this injustice to their own families for many years. When you bring hope back to them, that tell them that their loved one is not forgotten, people like that. Families like that.
It's our responsibility. It's what we swore to do. It's our job.